Hey, so let's talk about kind of a touchy subject today. And for this subject, there really isn't a right or wrong because it all comes down to how you feel. And that is how to know when to break up with somebody, or even, in fact, when to cut somebody out of your life. And I think it's something that everybody has struggled with. I definitely have, and there's still people that I should probably think about cutting out, but I haven't yet. So, here are some general guidelines that I like to try to go by when I decide if I want to break up with somebody or if it's just time to cut somebody out of my life in general. And the number one thing is, well, for me, is respect. So when the respect is gone or even fading away, for example, if your fights get really bad, that person gets physically or mentally, emotionally violent with you, and you also notice that they start to manipulate you, and it's almost like a game to them. So in general, they're just playing a game with you, and you feel like they don't really love you or care about you. I know that a lot of people try to hold on because they think things are going to change and go back to the way they were. And a lot of the times they don't. And a lot of the times things get really out of hand. And like I said, it can lead to really bad violence or any kind of abuse in general. Everybody has their limits on what they'll tolerate. Some people, for example, will tolerate swearing at each other, and others, that's the limit for them. So basically decide within yourself what your boundaries are and what you're willing to take and what you're not willing to take anymore. Number two, I would say that your friends or family members, acquaintances have expressed any concerns about your relationship or your partner, or even changes in you that they've seen. For example, if you're getting depressed more often, your anger level is up because you're constantly fighting with this person or dealing with their abuse or manipulation. So if anybody you care about has expressed that they're concerned, then that's another thing you need to really think about. Another thing is that you guys have been to a counselor, pastor, anybody like that could help you with the relationship, and you guys have tried to work through things, and nothing really seems to help, and it's been months to a year, and you can't get through your problems or resentment with that person, then maybe it's time to think about moving on. And so that goes to another point, is that you can't get over that resentment you have towards the person, and which leads to bringing up things in the past you are trying to get over and things that you thought that you've worked through. For example, if that person has cheated on you, and you just cannot get over it, you cannot see yourself getting over it, then it's probably time to think about moving on, because if you can't forgive somebody, then that resentment is always going to be there and always going to be affecting your relationship with that person. Or if it's a friendship relationship, and that person has done something to really stab you in the back and you can't get over it, then unfortunately it's time to cut that person out too. Because that also goes back to trust, and when you can't trust somebody, it's hard. It's almost impossible to be in any kind of relationship with somebody like that. Another thing is if that person is constantly cheating on you, and so say they've cheated on you once, okay, mistakes happen, and you've worked through it, and you find out this person is cheating on you again. And so maybe you decide to forgive that person another time. But then it just keeps happening and happening. Then you'll know that that person, number one, doesn't care about you. Number two, is not right morally. Number three, doesn't respect you. Number four, is just a serial cheater. And that's how they are, and that's how they always will be. Because a lot of the times, people who do cheat just have very low self-esteem and low confidence in themselves, and that's how they level themselves up. So it's very hard to be with somebody who constantly cheats, and that goes back to the trust thing, where you're not going to be able to trust them, and you're not going to be able to have a successful relationship. And another thing is, going back to the abuse, if there's any physical or emotional, mental abuse going on of any kind, like I said, everybody has their limits, but I personally would not tolerate it. For example, the minute that, somebody raises a hand to me or anything like that, they're out automatically. But like I said, everybody has their limits, but you should not be in a situation like that, and you also should not have children in a situation like that. If you do have children in a situation like that, I suggest getting them out of there right away, going to a friend's house, or a family member, or if you don't have anybody like that, there are programs that can help you out, or even churches and stuff like that. And then lastly, I would say that you really need to go by your intuition. Your intuition in this life is everything, and a lot of people ignore it. If you feel like that spark is gone, everybody knows what I'm talking about. In a living relationship, there's that spark and there's that passion. If you feel deep inside that that is gone and there's no way to get it back, then you need to go and find somebody that will put that back in your life, because life is too short and you shouldn't be wasting it on somebody where there's no passion. I mean, you really, really have to think about these things, because like I said, your intuition is usually spot on, and it's there for a reason. So I hope these tips are helpful. Just some things that I've considered in the past when I've had to cut people out of my life. So we'll talk to you guys again. Thank you. Bye.